Hi guys, hope everyone's well. Just out of the KTM 390 adventure today, just scouting for a few new lanes. This bike's done just under 7,000 miles, 6,700. It's a bike that I had for people to test on the A2 days, so it's been ridden by a lot of different people. It's had probably, I'd say, you know, a hardish few miles on it. And today I'm just going to do a little ride out video, doing some lanes, but just giving my feedback on the bike that might be useful for anybody who's thinking of getting a KTM 390. There's a bit of a resurgence in the bike, I think, for 2023 now that they're bringing out the spoke wheel edition. I don't think it's going to make any difference at all as to how the bike rides or performs on road or off road, really. But I think it visually it gives a better image of adventure than the cast aluminium wheels that were on the 2020 bike when it first came out. 2019 I think it came out. So this is Hartland Quay, beautiful little spot. I just wanted to show it you before I headed anywhere else. Beautiful place. There's a pub and a hotel down here if anybody wants to get off grid a little bit. I'll show you around. There's a hotel and there's a good little pub in there, actually, you know, a good old 1980s style British pub. So there's a bike, KTM 390 Adventure, still running the standard what we got on Continental TKC 70s, lasting really well. That back's got quite a bit of wear on it actually, and the front's doing alright, although it's starting to just wear a bit unevenly, so that's getting ready. The only real changes I've done is roll the bars forward a bit for off-road stance, and they've just changed the foot pegs to these SW Motec ones just to flatten that peg. And I've got to say that's made a big difference to how it stands, how the stance is off-road. So I'm really enjoying the bike. Did some more trickier trails near to me a week or so ago, sloppy mud, and it handled it really well actually. So this bike, I think when it came out everyone had high expectations as to what it was going to be and how good it was going to be, and being a KTM it's going to be really trail friendly. I think what we got instead was a more road biased bike, given the fact it's based on the Duke, which I think hampered its initial sales, and also it got a little bit of bad press because of that and people overlooked it. And I think when I've had people riding the bike back to back with the other bikes, they say it's not as naturally good off-road. Great road bike, but you know, for that all-round adventure dual sporty nature, it just lacked a lot on the trails. But I think that's been remedied a lot by the foot pegs, and even just something simple as rolling the bars forward. I've got a slight riser in there, but it's only a couple of mil, so nothing to write home about. And yeah, and on the road, I mean, there's nothing to match it on the road in this category. I've just come along the A39, is it? I forget. Has some good corners through there. The bike just handles so nicely, so it's just so agile, so fast, so frantic, so much fun. I don't think it'll suit everyone's riding characteristic. It's not got that slow plodding nature of something like a Himalayan, and it can make you ride a little bit too aggressively, if anything, I would say. But it's definitely got more point and squirt than any of the 310 GS or the CRF or the Himalayan or even a 500X. I think this would out accelerate a 500X and out excite it by a mile. Even a V-Strom 650, I don't think it would match that. Certainly in the twisties, and that Motorini X-Cape I've got, I don't think that would keep up with this through the corners either. So it really punches above its weight on the road, and as I say, on the off-road I'm starting to find my feet with it. And I think 3 years down the line from it coming out, I think it's starting to make sense. People have had the Himalayans, realise they want a bit more power. You know, they've tried the CRF 300s, but realise they want a bit more road manners. The GS310's good, but maybe it lacks a little bit of excitement. So the KTM 390, certainly now it's got the spoke wheels to give it a bit more adventure zest, ticks a lot of boxes. So yeah, I'm going to take you just over here. Let's show you where we are. So Hartland Quay, absolutely splendid place, certainly on a sunny day. So we're just about 15 miles up from Bude, about 15 miles down from Bideford. Hope you can see it alright, hope you can hear me alright. I've been struggling with sound quality on the videos recently. But yeah, absolutely beautiful place. Hartland Quay it's called. And there's a KTM. Right, I'm going to go and find the toilet and then we'll go and do a few tracks. I've ridden a little bit before. Rode them on the Land's End trial that I did last year. And then I've just been on the TRF map to get the what 3 words location points, and we're gonna head off and then do a bit of riding. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, just leaving Hartland Quay. They do have hill climb races out of here every, I think, twice a year or so, and you can kind of see why. Great hill climb location, great scenery, and a good tarmac road to the top. So I think they do cars and bikes up here. And so just down the coast is Cornwall, just up the coast obviously is Devon. Yeah, great little stretch of road if it's empty and clear. So we're just going to go in search of the first trail. Mechanically, I've not had any problems with the KTM 390 in the 6,700 miles. I've had a bent handlebars and a broke lever and a few other bits, but that's just self-inflicted mainly. But mechanically, nothing's failed on it. It's never let me down or not started. I think there's a few on the forums when asked about KTM 390s or KTMs in general, say, you know, it's going to break down. And I think there's been a few issues, as there are with all bikes, in fairness, on the forums I've seen. But personally, this bike seems to be holding up all right. A little bit of paint erosion on the engine case, just a little bit of flaking, but only a little bit. Other than that though, it seems to be holding up well. As I say, tyres are lasted well. There's still some wear in the chain and sprockets, so from a reliability point of view, it's been on par for me at least with the Honda, with the 310 GS, and it's been better than the Himalayan that's had the head bearings and things like that, so I can't really fault it. Only other changes I've made, I put the bar buster handguards on. There is a bit of a nuisance with these bars. They're not a 22 or 28mm bar, so difficult to get a cheap replacement. When I did bend the bars, I think it was 100 quid for a KTM replacement. You can get different top clamps that'll take a 28mm bar, looking at the forums, but I try to kind of keep the bikes as stock as possible, certainly when letting people ride them. So yeah, slightly unfortunate that that's how much the bars are. Okay, first little trail. I'm going to stay sat down for this a little bit easy here. Oop, a bit of a slide there, not too much grip on that front tyre. As I say, these tyres are fine. If you're going to do a lot of dirt road riding, you're going to need to upgrade them. TKC 80s. I did try a bike with the Kenda big blocks on, which was okay. They're not a great performing tyre, quite a stiff rubber, so they're not my favourite choice of tyre, the Kenda big blocks. Oop. TKC 80 is a good tyre. It won't last as long as these 70s, that's the only downside. Got some walkers, so nice and steady. Thanks guys, thank you, cheers, thank you. But yeah, just taking it steady. There's 2 electronic intrusions on the KTM. Traction control and ABS. The ABS is fine. I've never normally got an issue with ABS, but the traction control is a little bit problematic in that to deactivate it you have to go into a menu system, which is a bit of a faff, and then when you stall the bike it cuts back in again, or when you turn the ignition on and off and on, comes back on again. So it's not ideal, it really is not ideal. The 2022 bikes onwards, the Euro 5 bikes, they fixed that and they made it so that the traction control stays off. When you turn it off, it stays off, I think, until you turn the ignition switch. Okay, that's not the trail I was expecting. I was expecting a bit more severity than that. Sorry about that, a little bit too easy there. Beautiful views though, isn't it? It really is a beautiful part of the world, this. Quite remote, not too much going on. I don't even know where I am, to be honest. Slow parking route. I'll go through here then. I don't know. Just keep riding until we get told otherwise. All these old abandoned farmsteads. Okay, just going to find the next little track. That was just a perfect little trail though, if anybody's never been on a bit of a muddy surface before. Just get used to it. Right, back in a sec. Okay, that's the sign I was looking for. Unmetalled road. Why it's so difficult to find green lanes is because they're all described as something different boats, or it'll say unsuitable for motor vehicles, or in this case metalled road, unmetalled road even. So yeah, it does make finding lanes rather tricky. How does this go? Oh, I don't know. Was it even shut when I don't like leaving it unsecured. There we go. Right, a bit more mud. And as I say, the main difference that I've made to this bike is standing position. So I'm going to stand down here. Anytime I see mud or ruts or off-road, I generally stand. By changing the foot pegs, it's brought my weight to a more natural stance, or my riding position to a more natural stance. Whereas before, with the way the pegs they almost lurch you forward like you were in a set of blocks ready to start a 100-metre race, and it's just such an unnatural stance for off-roading. And it's a shame KTM, essentially what they did with it, they just left the Duke 390 foot peg hangers on, which was set up for the road, and which are fine for the road, but for off-road not so great. So all these SW Motec ones do is just flatten the peg off a lot, or completely flat, and just mean you can be more comfortable when standing, and it also means you haven't got to crane your neck up to look ahead, which you had to before. And then by rolling the bars forward, we've just got the bars, ahead of us, so we've got better control and input. It's just about making yourself comfortable on a bike, really. Nice little trail, not overly difficult. I want to show you here though. So I've got that's a good case in point. Yeah, I'll stall it then. The motor on this is definitely not as chuggable or as user friendly as a Royal Enfield or a CRF. And then there, look, okay, trying to get up here, I've got traction control on, and it's just every time the wheel detects slip, it cuts drive to the back wheel, which means you don't actually get up the slopes. It hampers you rather than helps your traction control. It's a pretty terrible system for on-road, off-road riding. And to turn it off on this bike, you've got to go to motorcycle, MTC, press set, and then hold it, keep press and close throttle, and it'll release button. Right, it's off. So you have to go through that to turn it off. Now if I stall it now, I'm going to go through that process again, and that's why it was annoying that that's what KTM did. Because if you're a novice rider, you don't really understand traction control, so you're probably going to try and get up here with it on. Then you'll think, I'll try and turn it off. You'll turn it off and stall it, and then you'll just be stuck in this cycle of like, how do I get going? How do I get a bike up a steep, slippery slope? And it kind of ruined the bike for the novice rider and the more experienced rider equally. So that's traction control off, and obviously then you're just using your throttle for traction control. But what I like about the KTM, it is nice and light. It feels light and dainty and small, compact compared to the Himalayan, and also you're closer to the ground than you are on the CRF, so it's not as dauntingly high as the CRF. Starting to get a lot of squirm on these tyres. I am ready for some new ones. It's all very scenic though, isn't it? You always feel a bit intrusive through people's back gardens. It's this way, yep. I'm assuming it's this way. Looking for the road out of here. and that's it over there. So you're going to go out. That's a good little trail. So I think you've got to ask yourself, is this KTM a good bike for getting to the trails and riding the trails? And obviously, like any of those bikes in this class, like any bike that exists, there are compromisers. This is going to get you to the trails fast and exciting, and you're going to have a good time getting there. It's quick on the road. It'll travel with luggage luggaged up quite easily, as I've done a tour around Wales on it, and it'll cope with motorways and fast A-road riding with luggage, absolutely no problem at all. And then the question of, can it do the trails as well? Now, I don't think it's the ultimate trail bike, simply because it's got that 19-inch front wheel rather than a 21, and the suspension, the Apex suspension, the WP Apex suspension, is good. It lacks a little bit of travel, and the bike lacks a little bit of ground clearance, but the suspension that it's got is really good. Whereas on the Honda, you've got a lot more suspension travel, but the travel you've got and the suspension you've got is really poor or very soft. So I think what you've got on the KTM, albeit slightly limited, is very good, which enables you to do the off-road. I think with some knobbly tyres, you're going to get it anywhere you're going to get it anywhere that the beginner to intermediate is want to go. Big rock steps are a no-no because you haven't got the ground clearance, and equally you've only got a 19-inch front wheel, so it's going to be harder work over the rougher surfaces or the rockier stuff. The 2020 bikes to 2022 bikes are really hampered by that traction control. It's infuriating. It's alright when you're riding trails that you know, and when you're tackling trails you know the flow of the trail, you know where to go, you know how to keep the line clean and keep it going, so you don't stall it as much, or you don't stop as much. I think when you're exploring new tracks and you are stopping and starting a bit more, you might stall it, you might have issues. That's when it's going to do your head in. The 2022 bikes onwards, with a dongle that allowed you to keep the traction control off, much better. So I would say if you can afford a 2022 bike for trail riding, so it's a no-brainer. It really is a no-brainer. Other than that, there aren't really any changes for the 2022 bikes or the 2023 bikes with a spoke wheel. Do you need spoke wheels? No, you don't need spoke wheels. Are they worse than cast aluminium rims? Yeah, in many ways, because they're tubed. These are tubeless. If I get a puncture now, I can be on my way in 5 minutes with a plug kit. With a tube, I can squirt some sealant in and hope that works. But if it doesn't, I've got a big issue. Just going to look for the next trail. So let's have a quick stop and assessment. Tyres need changing. Like, I think I try and make an argument that you don't have to change tyres for off-roading, but you really do. Certainly when you're out, in an unfamiliar environment and you don't know what kind of mud it is, what terrain it is, it does really help having knobblies. So take no notice of me when I say you don't need knobblies. But we're asking the question: is a KTM better than a CRF? Better than a Himalayan? Better than a 310 GS? And I think in a lot of ways, it is. And I've really grown to like it, I've got to say. I was really indifferent to it when they first came out. I think I was a bit like a lot of people, like, why did they make it so mediocre? Why didn't they put knobbly tyres on and longer travel suspension and spoke wheels and things? But it's not that kind of bike, and I think it does a good job with what it's got, and it's good on the road. That's it. I'm going to look for this other trail. I got distracted then by that car. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just riding around, but I'm going to get my map out, find another trail, take you down it, see how we get on. Okay, up on the pegs, soft knees, looking as far as I can, watching for camber, What? Okay, got another lane here. A little bit wet. There's old Gain terrain boots are starting to leak a little bit. This is the kind of lane you want to find though to practice on. Not too tricky. Nothing that's going to test you, certainly in the dry. But just some good time. Time on the dirt is what you want. Always got that clutch covered with 2 fingers there, just in case I have to bring it in or shred some speed off. Remember, slow through the puddles, through the water, then power through. Watch this camber. You can see the camber's going to wash me into that left hand side, so I'm anticipating that, countering the bike a little bit. Bit of back brake, just slow me down before I go into the water. Don't want to go in too fast. Always mindful tractors, other agricultural vehicles, quads, dogs, sheep, horses, other motorcyclists. Ooh. That was a shallow rut, that was a really shallow rut. Wow, this terrain is underestimated, that one. Look, you can see the wheel, the mud on the front tyre, it's really cloggy. And I just grip the side of the tyre, just grip the edge of that shallow rut. And that's what it do, just spit you sideways. No damage, I don't think. I'll investigate later. But yes, when you trail ride, you soon learn, or hopefully try and learn, to spot the different types of mud and how it's going to affect the grip and traction of the bike. Now, I did a lousy job there, got to be honest. I think it's also, making me excuses here, it's also the reality of these road biased tyres or road based rim sizes. This is a 100 profile on these, it's a 110 on the GS310, and it's a 90 on the Himalayan and the CRF, and it's that narrower tyre, no matter what tyre you've got on it, just cuts through the mud a little bit easier than these broader road-based tyres. Yes, you've got more road-based grip on these fatter tyres, but off-road they just tend to find the mud a little bit easier and wash accordingly. Let's go this way. That was a yeah, this mud around here is different to the mud around Barnstable, I'll tell you that. I've got absolutely no front end grip on these. I think it's about time I got some new tyres on. Nice long lane though, this, lovely long lane. Follow that lowest ebb. Watch that camber. Yeah, I've got absolutely zero front end grip. Ah, this looks a better track to be coming up than going down. What I might do is have a go at this coming back up and just show you what the KTM 390 is like on a climb. Here I'm all on that back brake, very tentative on that front brake. Once I've got the bike stabilised on the back, you can then bring in a bit of front, but you definitely don't want to be leading with the front. Good little track this. Where's the KTM at its best though? Is it down here? Or is it on the road? And it is without doubt better on the road than it is on the trail. But I don't think that's a bad thing, because I actually think that's where most people are going to be riding it, on the road. But yeah, if you're buying a bike to ride this sort of stuff regularly, you want a CRF. That's quite a tricky little descent, that. That was a good clean fun, wasn't it? Whoa. I think I've come out the wrong way there. Anyway, learnt something down there. Change your bloody tyres. public footpath, that's not legal. Change your bloody tyres. Let's have a look. Accident report, no accident. Question: should you fit crash guards? I don't know, it's really down to personal preference that. I'm not a big fan of them because they add weight and mass and width. But if you crash a lot, maybe they're a good thing. You know, it all depends on your confidence levels. And how much risk you want to take with your bike. Because yeah, you could easily break panels doing that. Headlight and things, so yeah, it's all up to you. A belly pan would be a good idea. But definitely, I'm ready to change these tyres out. I'm going to let a bit of air out actually. So the thing with tyres, I mean, this is probably the argument I make against putting the best knobblies on, is if you're travelling on a bike, like we're going out to the Alps in July on trails, and it's going to be like a 2,000 mile trip. Now you could set off with the best set of knobblies in the world, but by the time you get the Alps to ride the tracks, they aren't going to be the best set of knobblies. They're going to be worn. And so I think learning to ride on a worn pair of tyres is almost good practice. Because if you're going travelling around the world or whatever, you aren't going to have fresh TKC 80s on or anything like that. You're going to have, you know, you're going to have the best of what you've got. So, but for trail riding, yeah, you're really doing yourself no favours by riding with crap ones. Anyway, go find another trail. Okay, another trail. Got my traction control off. See what we've got. Sloppy mud again. Oh, nice sloppy mud. Yeah, gonna need traction off down here. I'm trying to remain really loose on those bars. Times it's like your tyres are running on ice or on glass. Oh shit, see. But this is where the compromise comes, if I'm honest. Yes, you can fit a knobbly tyre, but you're still going to feel that. So if you bought one of these bikes and you're trying to do these lanes and you're having a problem with traction, it's just because that the bike is hitting it. It's hit its limit of what it mechanically and its design was meant to do. Really, down here, if you had a very slim tyre, say if my Bentley came down here with a slimmer tyre, lower centre of gravity, it would grip better. It would cut better through that mud. Oh Jesus. Okay, this is it. Okay, very steep. I've got my weight back, I've got the back brake. This could go very wrong here. Okay, that's very steep, so I'm trying not to lock the back up, but it's very difficult. Is this the lane that's on the Land's End trial? I think it is. Yeah, it's a good old lane, this. Just trying to keep that weight as far back as possible, trying to pick a line. So I don't think the KTM would get up that. I don't think. Well, we might have a go, we'll see how we feel. We'll see how we feel. That's quite steep. Yeah, I remember this now. So on the Land's End trial, all the cars gather at the bottom of here and then have a go, and not many of the cars got up it, to be honest. I've got it up on the CT125. Again, just momentum. It really is about momentum there. Just to remind everyone, this is a legal trail, so I don't think I'm anything too naughty. Okay, I'm going to have a go getting up. I think it's very unlikely I'll get up, certainly cleanly. But we'll have a go. Here, the issue of the front tyre grip is going to be less. It's not going to be as big an issue at all, because all the weight's going through the back wheel, because I'm going uphill. I'm going to pick first gear, and what I'm looking to do is get good constant drive and keep the bike moving. Look up the hill. Power, 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 power. Watch that big rock. Guide it, guide it, guide it. Come on, no. Come on. She's down. No. Kill the engine. Engine's died. I only did that so I could show you hill recovery, but that's steep, that. As the tyre starts to spin here, you got nowhere to go. It's too steep. I mean, it's actually quite amazing. I've got to put it on the CT125. But that shows you, doesn't it, the difference? You know, I want an adventure bike to go off-road. Is it a 390 KTM or is it a CT125? Which got up here cleanly? I'll tell you, that's a hill, that is. Right, let's see what we can do here to rescue this. Hopefully the bike's alright. Anybody want to buy a KTM 390? One careful owner. Okay, so we're going to lift it. It's going to be in gear, which means that when I lift it, it's not going to roll backwards. If it was in neutral and you try to hold it on the brakes, it's just going to roll back and then you're going to have a calamity. So what I'm going to do is right it, and as I say, heavy bike. Heavy bike. See, it's heavy when it's pointing downhill, isn't it? Put my shoulder into it. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, you don't trail ride on your own. Okay, so I'm up. That is heavy. That is heavy, and I'm on the downside of the bike, which you've obviously got to be, because if you lifted it on the other side, good chance of the bike going down the hill. Now, I've got the clutch out. I'm in gear. I'm in first gear. The bike's not going to roll away. I've got to try. Am I going to get it up the hill? No, I'm not going to get it up the hill. I haven't got the traction. Means I've got to go back down. Okay, so I've got to turn this thing around. Not going to be easy. Let's check for damage. Which looks alright. She only went down at soft mud, so not too bad. Okay. Again, the problem here, okay, I've done that. Problem here, my traction control's on. I've got to turn that off. It's good. It's good to find some new challenging tracks, and that is a challenging track. Come on. See, and it won't do it while it's bloody. It will. Okay. Right, traction off. And I'm going to try rocking it, and this is where clutch control comes in. When you're stuck, having a soft touch on the clutch. Whose idea with this? I'm spinning at the back and I'm stuck at the front, and my feet have got no traction, and my osteopath is having a nightmare. Okay, I need to kill that. What I'm going to have to do, lay her back down, and I'm just going to drag her so she's at least level or 90 degrees to the slope. That means when I do get it right, I can oh dear. And this is where you want engine guards. Okay, so now I am going to go top side of her. I'm going to lift from the top. That number plate might need replacing by the time I've got it up right. What's the best adventure bike? An old cheap one. An old cheap one. There she goes. Right, now I've got some control over, and I can turn the bars. Still in gear, but that back's slipping. I'm going to try and work those bars round. The problem is that back is just slipping. It's wanted to fire me up the hill, and there's no way I am going to be able to get that up that hill. But you can see the state of the rock down there. Well, let's try and get some dry. See, when I apply power now, it's just wanting to drive the back end round, which is not what I want. I'm trying to get that front wheel ahead of it. There we go. There we go. There we go. And to stop recording, just so I don't lose this in case my battery dies. We're going again. Now I'm not going to get back on the bike until I'm absolutely, and actually, you know what I'm going to do now is install it in first gear. Again, I'm in control of it. While that clutch is out and it's in gear, the bike's not going to roll. And now I can feather the clutch to straighten the bike. And what I'm trying to do is just get it straight. I'm not getting on it yet. Not getting on it yet. Right, I'm straight. Have I took a breath? Am I breathing? Am I relaxed? Am I injured? Do I need to take my helmet off and have a sit down? No, I'm okay. So I'm going to leave the engine off. Last thing I want to do is be worrying about that. Now just going to put my foot on the right brake. I need to have that foot on the right brake. There's no point going with your feet, both feet, because what you might do now is panic and leave both feet out to stabilise yourself. The problem is then you've got no back brake, and then all you've got is front brake, and that's not going to help you. So you need to get that back foot, the right foot on the back brake. And all I'm going to do, keep the engine off, keep the left foot out, pull that clutch in to let me slip, let the engine slip. It's going to roll down, and that's it. We've recovered ourselves. Slightly haphazard situation, that, not ideal, but look, if you're going to go trail riding on your own, that's a scenario that can easily, very well happen, and it's no point pretending that it doesn't. And I'm an experienced rider, and I've just had, you know, a bit of a whopper. That was a good one, that. Now that hill, would a better rider have got it up it on this bike with these tyres? Don't think so, just because there was no drive at the back. Would I got up it with a better tyre? Probably, but not guaranteed. The issue is these bikes have a ceiling, and you've got to remember that they're not trail bikes, they're road bikes that can go on the trail. And if you go and try and master something that's steeper than what it's capable of, like this, probably this looks steep as well, you are going to get bitten. You are going to get bitten. Come on. There, that's better. There we go. We're up that one. So I hope that was useful. I think I found the limit of the 390 there for me. Certainly in the wet, in dry conditions, you probably have had a better shot at it. Or coming back with some proper knobblies on, maybe that'll get up it. A CRF would have got that up that in standard tune, no problem. And I actually think Himalayan would have, because it's got a less frantic motor which gets more traction, and it's got that slimmer front tyre, so it cuts better through the mud, and the weight of the Himalayan actually grounds the bike into the dirt and actually almost gives you better stability and drive and traction. So I think the KTM did well. But that to me shows where it's like, you know, where its limits are for me as a rider. And would I bother? You know, this is a question. You've got up that trail and you think, I need knobbly tyres. Okay, what are knobbly tyres going to do? They're going to compromise its on-road ability. Do I want to lose the on-road ability so that I can ride stuff like that? That's a question you've got to ask yourself. You know, personally, I enjoy this bike too much on the road. And for going to the Alps, like we're going to the Alps and doing the Stella Alpina and things like that, and doing all the fortress roads up there, which are compact dirt, gravel and stuff, this bike will be absolutely fine for them without having to put knobblies on. So there's a time and a place for a bike like this, and a steep, rocky, wet UK trail might not be it. But a modest, slightly drier European mountain road, or an American back road discovery route, or an Australian outback road, or a slightly easier green lane in the UK, that's where its comfort zone is. So I think the KTM 390 can go off-road. It's just got a lower bar than the CRF, than the Himalayan, but a bit higher than the 310 GS. So that's it. That's how I'd conclude that today. That was a good that was a good and painful learning curve, that. I hope you've sat and watched this and gone, you daft twat. So that's alright. I don't mind that. But the bike's holding up alright. It's all up for damage. Let's have a look. But no damage there at all. I've had a few little drops today. Bike's holding up fine. And guards have done the job. But it's that wash, it's that. You've obviously got no lateral purchase, so as soon as you hit a camber, that front's washing. Yes, a knobblier sidewall tyre will definitely help, but physics will always guarantee on very sloppy, muddy terrain on a broader tyre like that, 100 what do you call it, it's always going to want to slide. And that's why the big adventure bikes struggle in tougher terrain because they've got a 110 on the front, and as soon as it gets choppy, sludgy, you know, clayey mud, they just can't get any purchase, irrespective of tyre choice. So, but still impressed with it. Still impressed with it. Okay, last lane, unsuitable for motors. That's what we're looking for today, on this lane at least. This is more like it, nice and easy. That's not going to overwhelm the 390. Straight down here. Steady, always steady, always steady. Obviously a lot of difference is made by which way you tackle a terrain, up or down. Wow, this is a good lane, eh? Look at that. I think this was on the Land's End trial as well. Beautiful. See, up here, with traction control on, even coming up here where there's quite a stony base, it just won't pull. It's just flat on the throttle, just cutting in. Yeah, so again, any novice rider who just gets the bike, wants to do some off-roading and leaves that traction control on, they're really going to be hampered by the bike. And there we go. Okay guys, thanks for joining us on that little ride out. Quite interesting. I don't normally fall off quite as much, but that's my excuse. Bike's done well. You know, I think that was useful for me just to be reminded that it's a great road bike. Like, the fun you can have on the KTM on road is incredible compared to the fun you can have on the road on the CRF or the Himalayan or the 310GS. It's just got so much more grunt, shove, excitement, turning capability and speed. It's just a different bike with a different personality. You know, I think unless you're riding it faster, I don't think it rewards you as well. It's not as soothing or relaxing as a Himalayan or a 310GS. So if you're the type of person who just wants to bimble around some back lanes, it's probably not the bike for you. If you want something that's got a faster turn of pace and everything, then it probably, you know, it is for you. That's going to get you to Wales quicker, that's going to get you to Scotland quicker for touring, that's going to carry luggage better and stuff like that. You know, it's a really good bike with good power. This bloke, same bloke again. Wait a minute. So yeah, it's just got good power, and on the road I really enjoy it. It's leagues ahead of the other ones if you're into spirited riding. Off-road, it's got more potential than I think the bike's been given credit for in the past. I think with the foot peg changes, it's definitely better, and with the handlebars raised forward, it's definitely better. With knobbly tyres on today, I would have got away with some of the accidents. Maybe I would have saved myself once or so. But the bike itself is able to do medium to moderate green lanes with pretty much good confidence. The traction control on these earlier bikes is an issue. I think it's problematic, and it would force me onto a 2022 bike or Euro 5 bike easily. You know, it's no brainer. I think if you're on about doing trail, a trail bike, I think it's got to be the Himalayan or the CRF, and then the Himalayan probably, then the KTM. And I think that's a given. That those two are better because they've got 21-inch front wheels, they've got longer travel suspension, and they're just a bit better setup. The riding stance is better again than the KTM, but the KTM holds its own on the trails. And I think if you're only doing occasional trail work and you wanted a bike that you rode predominantly on the road but occasionally on the dirt and didn't push it too hard on the dirt, I think the KTM is just a really good bike. So yeah, for me, yeah, what we're going to give it, 8 out of 10, shall we? 8 out of 10. The spoke wheels won't make no difference. I think what is a shame is I think there's so many good ingredients that could make that a really good long distance adventure off-road bike. much like the CCM GP450, but it would need a bigger wheel, longer travel suspension, and probably a longer chassis to give you all those ingredients. KTM, it doesn't look like, are going to pursue the 490 adventure platform, and I'd be surprised if we get a proper R version of this. So I think what is a shame is that there is great potential here, and that KTM have obviously decided that there's not market for it, or it's not in their best interest to potentially cannibalize sales of a 790 adventure, which, you know, on the tracks that I've been on today, if I'd have been on a 790 adventure or an 890, I'd have been in trouble, I think. So the advert for a small light bike, even if it's, you know, 100% optimized for dirt, is still there, that a lighter, smaller, more manageable bike will take you places that a bigger bike won't, even if they're ultimately a better bike, if that makes sense. So yeah, there we go, gonna head home and catch you all later. All right, cheers, bye. Hey guys, just to say, if anybody's got a KTM 390 Adventure or Himalayan CRF or any adventure bike really, and who wants to get some training off-road, then I booked out the Sweet Lamb Adventure Academy in Mid Wales, which is home to the official KTM off-road school. I've got that from the 18th to the 20th, so 2 days of solid instruction on a 9,000 acre site, food and accommodation included, camping and bunkhouse, nothing fancy. Then go on the website to book up that. It is a bit expensive at 360 quid, but it is you know, effectively hired KTM's off-road centre for 2 days. So yeah, it is expensive, but the quality of tuition is second to none, and the facilities are a fantastic place, because once you arrive at Sweet Lab, you never actually leave or touch tarmac until 2.5 days later. So yeah, it's a great little place. So Dorothy'sSpeedShop.com is the website. All right, see you there. Cheers, bye.